If you are watching this video, I assume you are a UConn fan. My question for you, are you breathing again? My goodness, that was a barn burner. We are going to break it all down in this video as UConn held on for an exciting 72-64 win over Syracuse. I tried to go live stream after the game. I took my lunch break early, but unfortunately my cell phone mobile data just did not play out and had technical issues. So now I go through it all, and this will probably be a better video anyway. Before we start, if you like the content, then please consider subscribing to the channel and give the video a like. All right, let's get into this. Have no doubt this was a big, big win for UConn in so many ways. This is 30 straight regionals that they have made, an unbelievably impressive streak that obviously will never happen again. I'm pretty confident in saying that. Now, in my preview video, I talked about how I thought Deasia Fair had the chance to be a real big problem for UConn. And then she came out in the first half and almost got bageled. So she went 1 for 7 for 2 points. And Nika Mule was making her life a nightmare. But I remember looking at it at halftime going, oof, that might be a problem, as UConn was only up 11, 39-28, and it reminded me when the Rockets were playing the Warriors in Game 6. KD was already out because he'd injured his Achilles the previous game, and Stephen Curry had had a miserable first half. He had an over for the first half, but the Rockets were only up by 10, and you could tell the Rocket fans were nervous as it was only a matter of time before Stephen Curry went off, and what do you know, they were celebrating on the Rockets floor that night. And then, sure enough, in the second half, Syracuse just stuck around like a bad smell, and then Nika Mule unbelievably fouled out with 5:16 left in the fourth, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is Notre Dame all over again. First, Nika fouled Fair, taking a three-pointer, so she gave up the 3 shots, and then coming back down on offense, she just pushed off the defender. That call had to be made. It was so obvious and such a bad foul on the part of Nika. And then in comes Ice Brady, and my goodness, like the first pass to her on the inbounds, like she bobbled it. She didn't lose it there, but that was a sign of things to come as she had butter hands with 2 late killer turnovers, and then Syracuse had a jumper at the top of the key to bring the game within 2 points, and you're like, oof, this is not looking good for UConn. They're going to give it away like the Notre Dame game. That's what it felt like to me. But Paige Bueckers was not having it. She settled things down, gave the crucial pass to KK, had the trust in KK to take the shot, which KK Arnold buried to clinch the game. But even more importantly, if you look at the last 5 minutes after Nika Mule fouled out, Bueckers was on her, and her length gave Deasia Fair trouble. So the first time when they came into the timeout, Fair tried to take a 3-pointer, which hit the backboard. And then after that, Fair did get a bucket, but that was off of KK. They switched it, and then KK went under the screen, and she buried that 3-point jumper. And then I think Bueckers got a foul on her when she drove into the basket, but Fair only made 1 of 2 shots. But overall, she slowed her down. And then as well, on the key steal that Shade got, Bueckers got back quick in transition to slow her down, which allowed Ashlyn Shade to poke the ball away. After the game, Gino Auriemma was just beaming, as it was relief as well as satisfaction, as he took a team that had all these injuries, and the 2 freshmen, KK Arnold and Ashlyn Shade, came up big for UConn. And as he said, it's been a while since UConn's been so dependent on 2 freshmen. As well, from where the team has come, essentially, when the season first started, the whole team was standing around basically watching Paige Bueckers be Paige Bueckers, and he said it was an S show basically, because everybody was just sort of standing around, and she was getting hers, but she didn't feel comfortable doing that, and it just wasn't a solid mesh. And then as the season's gone along, they've obviously figured it out to get this balance, but she has pushed her shot making up, which she needs to do. So this was her highest shot attempt game so far. So She went 9 for 23 versus UCLA, but that was a different 23 shots. That wasn't in form of the offense. That was her, we need somebody to score, and I'll just take my shot. Same thing with South Carolina. She took 20 shots in that game. And then Providence, she went 10 for 23 in that game. And that's the one after Edwards because she had to do more, basically. And in the Syracuse game, she went 14 for 25 for 32 points, and they needed her to go supernova like that as Edwards did not have a strong offensive game. She went for 11 points on 4 for 8 shooting. She was strong on the boards, which they needed, but she had a few travels, and they were really crowding her inside to some extent, and they needed all of the points that Bueckers got and the shots she took. And thank goodness for Ashlyn Shade, who went 7 for 12, 5 for 9 from the three-point range as well. KK Arnold got 10 points on 4 for 7 shooting and 2 for 2 from the three-point line. And both of those freshmen were the difference. If you would have gone into the game saying Edwards is only going to get 11 points, I think you would have been worried about UConn's chances as well if Nika Mule was going to get no points as well. If Ashlyn Shade hits three-pointers early, then she is just really deadly because she has that mid-range game, and it bailed UConn out once again. I know Daryl Morey and Lynn Roberts both say you only take shots at the three-point line and at the basket, but man, UConn needed a bucket really bad at the 3:19 mark, and Shade gave that pump fake and went down the baseline, and as soon as it left her hand, you just knew it was good. I did the video, preseason video on Ashlyn Shade, and she said it, man. She said, my mid-range game separates me, like I quote her in that article. You can go look at it. I think that video holds up just on how she prepared to come to UConn, and she's right. I mean, she can score at 3 levels, at the basket, at the three-point line, and the mid-range. She is just deadly, and it's unstoppable. And when you need a bucket really, really bad, it is just a nice option to have. Now in this other preseason video, if I'm going to take glory for the previous one, I have to laugh at this one when UConn went to Europe, and I was glowing about KK in it, about how she gets to the basket, but then at the end I question, I'm just like, she throws up a three-pointer and just catches nothing but air, and I'm just like, ugh, I just don't know if her shot's going to be good enough for people to go out and guard her, and look now. So if I'm going to take the good, I have to take the bad on that. In the Europe video, I questioned your three-point shooting, KK. I am sorry to you. But more importantly, Paige Bueckers had no doubt in UKK as she made a tough jumper at the 130 mark, which was a big-time jumper, and then it's time to ice the game, and she feels the double team coming at her and sees KK wide open and has the trust to throw her the pass, and there was no hesitation from KK, set her feet, and she buried it, got a bit of rim, but it was a nice shot to seal the game, and what a confidence booster. Like, she just has that now in her memory, good scar tissue. It was a big game, tough moment, and I buried it. And, well, if I'm going to praise KK and Shade, then I need to talk about the elephant in the room, which is Ice Brady. Oof, that was not good. Okay, the best thing that happened for Ice Brady is UConn was able to hold on. I was like, oh, please don't let UConn lose this game. I just don't want Ice Brady to take all the heat on this, as it would have been epic, as she was 0 for 3 with no points, and then the 2 late turnovers were just absolute killers. Even when she first got into the game, like the first one that was thrown to her, she fumbled a bit. And I don't want to be mean, but it felt like she was overwhelmed by the moment, which is understandable. These are 18 and 19-year-old kids. In one of the press conferences I saw with Gino, he's like, 2 players were trying to give the game away. I assume he was talking about Nika Mule and Ice Brady. There was another one I saw later on saying, Ice was in a tough spot, going from 40 minutes in consecutive games to all of a sudden just coming off the bench. So I think he's already trying to rebuild her up, because if they're going to go anywhere after this, they need Ice Brady. They need another big to back up Aaliyah Edwards in case she gets in foul trouble. Now, where from here? Well, in a lot of ways, like I said in the preview video, I think it's now if I said if UConn beat Syracuse, then it was all gravy. Go to Portland, and you are playing with house money. Go there, take your shot, be relaxed, and just go for it. And I think that's what they're going to do. And it's opened up. I think Ohio State would have been a tougher matchup for UConn. I would think that their press had a strong likelihood to wear down UConn late in the game. But with Duke, I haven't broken it down yet. I'll do a preview video for that, obviously. But the field is opened up for them. If they can get through Duke, and let's say the other side of the region goes chalk, I think UConn is happy to play Southern Cal. They match up fine against them. You have Paige on Juju. That would be a fun matchup. Edwards on Marshall. If they can make it through Duke, I think they would love the idea. And I think if you would have told Gino Auriemma that you'd be playing USC to go to the Final Four, I think he would have taken that. With the roster that he has, they definitely have a shot with that, no doubt. And as I've said a number of times, if you have Paige Bueckers and Aaliyah Edwards, then you have a chance, especially Paige Bueckers. And Auriemma made a comment a number of times. I think he said in a couple of press conferences how he feels Paige Bueckers is the best player in college basketball. His argument is that she gets her points efficiently. She doesn't care about stats, and the way she plays, he loves it. And she's having to go against her grain. It's not in her DNA or nature to want to take over 20 shots a game. Like, she's not real comfortable taking 25 shots. But as he said, if she wants to win, she knows that she has to do that, and she's doing it. And that is what gives UConn a puncher's chance to make it all the way to the Final Four. He like Gino was feeling himself in the press conference. At one point, he was talking about old teams and how this is almost, I think it was the 2002-3 team where Diana Taurasi took UConn and won the championship with two freshmen. I went on Wikipedia. If I have this wrong, correct me. But I think it was Ann Struthers and Barbara Turner, and they won it. And that was at the time where he's like, we have Diana Taurasi and you don't. He's like, other coaches thought I was being cocky and I wasn't. It's just the thing. If you have that sort of player, you have a chance to win it all. And that's what he was saying, that the other coach was giving his team the same strategy that he was, but in his huddle, he has Diana Taurasi and you don't, and that's why he's probably going to win. And I would say that he's feeling pretty good about himself because last year they did not have that elite blue chip player. This year they do. So it's just all coming up roses and sunshine and flowers for UConn. Thoughts, comments, poison below. Thanks a lot for watching. Good night.